ang nakapanghawa sa kanya. Whether you are vaccinated or fully vaccinated, kapag kayo ay considered close contact, kailangan nyo pong tapusin ang 14 na araw na pagka-quarantine.
The health department emphasized the need for adults to get vaccinated to help protect their entire family against COVID-19.
We can only vaccinate all of those individuals, adult individuals in the household. Magkakaroon ka ng cocoon effect kasi lahat kayo pinoproteksyonan nyo na yung mga bata. Sana po yung ating pag-iisip ngayon is not just thinking about ourselves this time. We think of our family.
Government is readying a home care package for COVID-19 patients as hospital occupancy is rising and new hotspots are emerging in 5 regions. Should government widen and extend stricter quarantines? We discuss in this episode of The Chiefs. Welcome to this special edition of The Chiefs. Ako po si Robbie Alampay. Kasama po natin online Ami Pamintuan of the Philippine Star and Lucy Cruz Valdez of News 5 Chiefs. Good evening.
Hi, Robbie.
Good evening.
Hoy, bago ang lahat, may breaking news tayo. Parang may development sa BGC. May malaking sunog sa BGC.
Oo nga. Explosion daw sa construction site sa...
Yes, and initial reports, I think it was Taguig that acknowledged it's a gas. It's a gas fire. Still sketchy. Hindi pa natin alam yung mga detalye. But from the looks of it, binabasa ko lang kanina sa big story. I was trying to catch it from the corner of my eye. Malaki yung sunog. But that's a development we'll be following through the night. In the meantime, Ami, anong balita sa COVID? 12,000.
12,000 nga, masama nga. Although, winarningan tayo ng Department of Health and other health experts na makikita natin yan na tumataas pa rin in the coming days. Although sabi ng Okta, may nakikita silang pagbaba din.
Ganun ba?
Are not.
Nagbabawas
Are
na.
not. Yes. Pero yung numbers nila, based on yesterday.
Yes.
So, di ba, hindi pa naka-factor in yung 12,000 today. So,
Saka hindi pa natin napapactor in yung mga super spreader dun sa vaccination.
Correct.
Oo, papalo
Yes,
pa yun.
yes.
In about mga 10 days, makikita natin kung ano nangyari doon sa kaguluhan doon sa Las Piñas at saka Manila. Anyway, ipasok na natin yung una nating guest. Get a bird's eye view of everything. Now, joining us is Cabinet Secretary Carlo Nograles. Good evening and welcome back, Secretary Nograles.
Hi, magandang gabi sa iyo, Robbie, Ami, Lucy, at sa lahat ng mga nanonood
Good
ngayon.
evening, sir.
Good evening.
Habang binabantayan natin yung pagtaas ng mga numero, pati sa Cebu, no? One thing about today also, however, is yung nag-umpisa na yung pag-distribute ng ayuda. Based on what we've been monitoring, mukhang mas maayos naman po ngayon, sir.
Yes. I think based also on our monitoring mechanism on the ground, maganda naman yung pag-distribute ng ayuda. This is the 3rd time that we've done it, so we're happy that maayos yung sistema na ginagawa ng mga LGUs. I think several factors dyan. Number 1, pangatlong beses na nga. So kanya-kanyang LGUs have their different experiences also on the ground in Bayanihan 1 and Bayanihan 2. Number 2, medyo alam na natin, 'di ba, kung sino yung mga recipients. It's usually the same recipients who are receiving this time around. Number 3, each LGU knows what works, whether it's personal physical handing out of the cash or blended mix na electronic wallet or banking system or GCash or whatever other forms of giving out the ayuda. Each LGU have their own particular nuances. So maganda yung nangyari dahil kumbaga we left it to the discretion of the LGUs in terms of how to hand out the ayuda because they know the situation more. DSWD ang nagmo-monitor together with DILG nagmo-monitor. And then ang Philippine National Police comes in only para sa security of the distribution, particularly pag physical, those LGUs na gusto ng physical na distribution of cash.
So yung database already there, so medyo may lead tayo doon, plus the experience Those are some of the fundamental difference. But just refresh our memory, sir. Yung pag-iwan sa LGU, just letting the LGU decide how to do it, is that a fundamental difference now compared to before?
Well, remember in Bayanihan 1, it was really physical. That was the setup. It was and it was entire nation. It was nationwide. So there was only one setup, which was physical cash, giving out the cash. No, Bayanihan 2, sinubukan natin mag online, electronic transfer, e-wallet using the banking system, and then napansin na it's not the same for all LGUs. Some LGUs, especially those na malalayo, na walang masyadong banking system or walang accessibility to digital banking also, are challenged. So eventually naging blended. But also, I think the ECQ areas now are urban centers. So medyo accessibility to these types of platforms is not a problem. Iba kasi ibang usapan yan pag rural areas, no? Medyo mas challenging doon. Pero for NCR, halimbawa, hindi naman mahirap gawin.
Secretary,
Pero
confusion. Nagkaroon lang ng confusion, of course. We all know dun sa City of Manila, no? Maybe we can get the final word from you kasi kahit kagabi sinabi naman ng city government, yung City Social Welfare Office, na nakuha naman daw nila yung pera, saka wala naman daw sabi sa kanila na hindi sila magiging in charge of the distribution. And today, yun na nga, yung City Welfare Office ang nagtuloy-tuloy. At
Yes.
wala naman daw nag-take over ng ayuda. So ano ba yung final word dyan?
I think it's more in the context na merong minomonitor na mga cities na maaring hindi magiging maganda ang setup or ang pag-implement. So binabantayan ng DILG right now, and so far so good, without naming any of the cities, kasi marami nagsa-speculate, pero wala naman talagang pinangalanan na particular city. And true enough, pagdating naman sa implementation today on the ground, which is the start of the implementation, wala namang city na nag-take over ang DILG. So everybody was kept on their toes. Everybody implemented it correctly. So there was really no need for DILG to come in, step in, and take over. So, kumbaga, for the first day of the ayuda implementation, wala namang naging problema masyado. At ito yung report din sa amin ng DILG.
Ay, so kahit isa, wala talagang pinaringgan doon kasi ang haka-haka ng lahat.
Meron yun, si Mayor Isko yun, naman. Manila yun.
Diba? Doon lang nag-abang ang media kung mag-ibig.
Pero wala namang
I guess ang tanong ng lahat is, ano ba yun? Bakit ba nagbanta? Politika ba yun o ano?
Nagpasalamat na si Mayor Isko kanina. Siya lang naman yung
Manila yun, Diyos naman.
So baka hindi siya.
Anyway, ang tanong ko ay ngayon pa lang, they're already talking about possibly extending the ECQ because based on the projections of the DOH, no, if we really want to control the rise in the number of cases, an ECQ over a period of as long as 5 weeks might, is an option. Let's just put it that way. What if that happens? I mean, can we afford the ayuda?
Well, first of all, ayoko ring pangunahan, no. Una sa lahat, we are constantly monitoring it right now, and mas minomonitor din namin yung mga areas of concern. Kasama na dyan ng NCR. In fact, we had the meeting ng IATF yesterday. Then it's a technical working group meeting today, and then another meeting ng IATF tomorrow. So we're looking at the numbers very, very closely. So it's hard to really predict what will happen next week. So ayoko rin pangunahan kung mag-extend bang ECQ or not. No? But so far, what we have seen is we are not seeing an exponential growth yet. We're seeing a growth in numbers, but it's linear, no, not exponential. So that's the good thing. We might have nipped this in the bud, which is good news for everyone. And perhaps the options that we will be looking at, as you said, is to extend the ECQ or maybe go into a less strict community quarantine while allowing the LGUs to do their localized lockdowns, granular lockdowns, no? Because that's also a possibility eh. Pwedeng after August 20, luwagan natin ng konti, maybe one level less, no? So that's MECQ, halimbawa. No, halimbawa lang. I'm just giving out some possibilities. But allowing the LGUs to do their localized lockdowns, depending again on the numbers that we're seeing. But definitely, this ECQ was needed to, again, nip it in the bud. Because ang iniwasan talaga natin dito is yung overwhelming of our healthcare facilities, the hospital beds, the ICU beds, lalo na the oxygen tanks, the mechanical ventilators, and the overwhelming of our manpower. Masobrahan na pasyente, you know, it will be too burdensome na on our healthcare workers. So this was a necessary step to keep the cases at bay. So we'll see what the numbers look like tomorrow. We'll see what it looks like next week. But also, we wanted to use the 2 weeks to ramp up the vaccination.
Yeah, I mean,
So these 2 weeks to ramp up the vaccination even some more.
Secretary, the other thing nga na nababanggit din ng DOH at saka ng agencies is make the most use of this time on the one hand for vaccination, but also to put things in place, no? Particularly for our health facilities. But one of the weakest links is manpower. We were just talking to Cebu kanina. We had a lot of nurses had resigned. Now they're having a hard time getting all of those nurses back. And it's a national situation. Not only that, ilang buwan na po natin pinag-uusapan to, no? Parang on the one hand, we have a surplus of nurses na unemployed. On the other hand, we have a shortage of nurses who actually want to take these jobs. What's our way out of this dilemma?
We just need to continue our efforts to hire more healthcare workers. But obviously, the reality is may ilan na don't want to take the risk. No? So yun talaga yung reality on the ground. Everyone's afraid of COVID, including our healthcare workers, which is why it was important for us to do massive vaccinations sa healthcare worker sector para lang magkaroon ng additional layer of protection sa kanila while they're working and while they're exposed. But we'll just need to continue to do the hiring of additional healthcare workers, looking for vacancies for them to fill up, perhaps maybe incentivize it also, and maybe perhaps look to LGUs to add more incentives as well. Kasi mga LGUs, especially the richer ones, those who can afford, might also come in and increase those incentives para naman magkaroon din ng additional workforce, healthcare workforce sa kanilang mga hospitals.
How might that apply and extend to private hospitals? Kasi yun din yung parati namin kausap. And the private hospitals are saying, kami iba pa yung situation namin. Government can do these campaigns. In the meantime, we're paying our nurses. We can only afford to pay them less than what the standard salary for nurses in the public hospitals can afford. What about the private hospitals? Are there any programs to extend to that? Itapon ko na rin po dyan yung walang kamatayang issue ng mga billing nila na utang ng gobyerno raw sa kanila.
PhilHealth.
Ng PhilHealth.
Well, as far as PhilHealth is concerned, we're continuously looking for ways and means to speed things up sa PhilHealth without sacrificing also na hindi na talagang may justification at may proof talaga na kailangan baya. I mean, you know, with all the documents needed. Kasi syempre, binabantayan din ng PhilHealth na they're not unduly paying for things that hindi naman totoo. No? So merong mga procedures na ginagawa din ng PhilHealth. Kasi at the end of the day, pag in-audit sila, mahirapan din sila to justify kung nagbabayad sila without passing through the process. No? So it's really a delicate balance. While we know that PhilHealth needs to pay and speed up the payments, it has to pass through a process na will stand the rigors din of the Commission on Audit. But number two, pag kinakailangan naman additional healthcare workers, ang private hospitals, DOH naman and government can augment, can send naman workers, healthcare workers doon to augment the needs of private hospitals if needed. So we
But
also have the ability naman.
Yeah. But the problem is precisely, this Delta variant is different in the sense that where before the center was NCR, now you have really huge places in the country, regions, that are also suffering from rising cases. And so sila rin punong-puno na yung ospital. And beyond the hospitals, we're talking about kulang na yung mga crematorium, kulang na yung graves, nagma-mass graves na. Yung mga yun ba, I mean, not to mention oxygen, na tuloy-tuloy pa rin na, di ba, nag-order pa ng karagdagang oxygen yung DOH. So I guess the question is how much of those elements that will also help us deal with this Delta variant crisis are being factored into the equation of DOH in order to manage this whole thing.
Yeah, actually yung tama ka dyan, Lucy, no? So kasama sa pag-monitor namin sa mga regions and provinces, we always take a closer look also at the healthcare capacities, no? Ang situation rin kasi on the ground is that there are some areas kasi na maraming level 1 hospitals. Halimbawa, na walang ICU beds. You'll find provinces wherein the ICU beds are situated lang in the city. But in the rest of the provinces, in the rest of the province, yung mga hospitals lamang are level 1 hospitals. And
Right.
level 1 hospitals, usually walang ICU beds yan. Diba? So what we try to do is we work with the different provinces and the regions in terms of, number one, increasing the dedicated COVID-19 hospitals. Okay. Number two, dedicated beds, increasing the dedicated beds, hospital beds for COVID. Yung isa pang challenge is yung level 1 hospitals na walang ICU. Naghanap din kami ng paraan kung paano malagyan ng ICU, if it's possible to put an ICU or different ICU beds in level 1 in those hospitals, or increase the ICU beds of level 2 and level 3 hospitals na nandyan sa province, no? But what this COVID-19 pandemic really showed us is there are just many hospitals, especially in the provinces, na kailangan na natin ma-level up, no? Yung not just the capacity, but from level 1 we need to increase more level 2 and level 3 hospitals, no? But again, easier said than done kasi technical yan eh. It's not just gusto mo maging level 2 ang hospital, ang na level 1, hindi ganun kasimple. They have to comply with certain standards and procedures. So I guess it just shone the light in the need for more hospitals, hospital capacities, especially in the provinces.
Secretary, you mentioned LGU discretion, ano? Nagkanya-kanya yung mga LGU ng pag-issue ng vaccination cards. And now, nagkakaproblema yung mga overseas Filipino workers natin going to Hong Kong. Dahil daw ayaw tanggapin ng Hong Kong yung mga LGU issued cards. Paano mareremedyohan natin to? They want a uniform card.
Yeah, so it's called the yellow card, no? And yellow cards naman are not something new to us. Remember when we had that polio situation, those who wanted to travel abroad had to get a yellow card na vaccinated ka sa polio or updated yung vaccines mo sa polio. So right now, that's what we're doing right now, a yellow card in the meantime to be issued to OFWs para hindi sila mahirapan when they go abroad, no?
Paano yun? They will apply before they prepare their papers o doon na sila sa airport? Saan sila kukuha nun?
I'm not sure about the particulars, no, because this is a new development. But
May bayad pa di ba, sir? May
ang
bayad
narin-
pa yata na 300.
Ano ba yan? LGU po kukunin or where do they get it?
I think the DOH ang nag-issue niyan if we follow the example nung sa polio.
BOQ, sir. Ang alam ko.
BOQ is under also
Yeah.
the DOH. So
Yeah.
yes, so it's BOQ, BOQ that will issue the yellow card. But actually, what we're really working on is a uniform vaccination card, na QR code, na digital vaccination card. But right now, we hope to be able to launch it. Mabuti na dyan, I see your next guest is San Juan Mayor. I think the pilot of that vaccination card was in San Juan. So the ICT is working closely with San Juan, and they're the pilot city in that digital vaccination card program that the ICT is working on. But the challenge really there is getting more and more LGUs to constantly update the VIMS system so that this digital vaccination card will already be more updated and we can launch it. So right now, that's the challenge, and we're really pushing more LGUs to upload the data ng mga bakunado nila so that we can already launch that system, that vaccination card.
Yeah, buti na banggit nyo. That was exactly what I was gonna ask. Kasi for the past weeks, we had been asking it of the ICT, we had asked it of DILG, we had asked it of different LGUs. Sa totoo lang, nagtuturuan dati, di ba? Parang, so when you say that you're asking the LGUs, are they on board with the whole program? Are they willing to share their data? What was the bottleneck here? Because we've been talking about this for 2-3 months already. And yun lang po. Ano po ibig sabihin na inaano? And is it just a matter of updating it? Or is it more fundamentally still trying to get the LGUs to say, sige, we are all on board in this one direction?
It's not it's different LGUs, different experiences, different challenges, no, for different LGUs. Ganun na lang ang sabihin natin. Yesterday we had a meeting sa IATF particularly on this issue. So ang na-resolve kagabi is that DILG will push the LGUs even some more to update yung pag-upload ng data. We are asking help from the different leagues, from the provincial league to the municipality league to the city leagues, to help us push this some more.
Yeah, but sir, ito lang yung quick lang. Is it a technical problem and logistical problem getting them together, or is it a political problem?
I think with everything that is overwhelming the LGUs already, we just need to nudge them some more. Because I think it's just the LGUs are very much overwhelmed with so many things that they need to do. So it's just we just need really the commitment of the LGUs to really push for this, yung pag-upload. Kasi siguro in terms of the priorities of the LGUs, baka lang medyo napunta yun sa back burner kasi may hinaharap pa silang Delta, may hinaharap pa silang vaccination, So I think it's just a matter of systematically committing to this, and when I say systematically, really putting a point person na in charge sa pag-upload. So
Kasi sir,
ito yung kulang na lang kasi it was proven naman dun sa San Juan, because San Juan is like the showcase na ginagamit for the system. Like right now, nakatutok kami sa San Juan. So maganda yung uploading ng San Juan. So the system works if it is fully uploaded and consistently consistently uploaded by the city or by the LGU. But kung mahina ang pag-upload, you will see a lot of citizens complaining, oh, bakit hindi pa updated? Wala pa yung pangalan ko dito. Ganun ang magiging experience. So mahirapan kami mag-launch ng something kung hindi pa fully uploaded yung mga pangalan ng mga bakunado. Kasi ang mangyayari dyan, when you check the system, wala ka pa sa sistema. But if,
So you're
like in San
saying
Juan,
meron na? Meron na? Kasi
yeah, the framework,
nung
the
nag-guest
framework,
dito si Secretary Duque, sir, ang sinasabi niya, yung DICT raw, ay kasalukuyan pala, and that was like over a month ago. No? Yung DICT daw ay nagki-create pa lang daw nung database ng mga bakunado. And at that time, there was, I don't know, something like 8 million pa lang yung nababakunahan or maybe even less. No? Eh di dumadami na yan. Sir, nga nasa 11 point something na tayo. No? So parang you begin to wonder nga, eh, kailan pa mabubuo yan? Parami na nga yung mga pangalan. No? So, in the meantime, yun nga, everybody's asking, paano na ba tong vaccine card? At marami na lumalabas na chismis na pag wala kang vaccine card, di ka makakagawa nito or makakapunta dyan or makakalipad. No?
so based on the presentation ng DICT sa amin kahapon, nagpakita naman nila that the system works because in San Juan, which is updated at yung pag-upload ng data, it's working, no? So now the next step really is to push the LGU some more to be as updated as San Juan, let's say, so that we can already launch it soon. No, we don't want to launch a system na hindi pa as updated as what we want to see, no, as updated as possible. So yun lang yung medyo delay dun sa pag-launch ng sistema, but it really needs the cooperation ng mga LGUs, and that's why DICT asked for the help ng DILG and yung liga, mga different leagues ng localities to help us push this some more sa LGUs.
So sino talagang point agency dyan? Kasi we seem to have a real problem with data management. We don't even have a centralized database for contact tracing. Yan ang problema.
Exactly.
That's why TraceSafe doesn't work. Kasi hindi ma-coordinate yung mga data nationwide. Sino ba dapat talagang in charge? Sino dapat mag-push sa LGU? Sino yung magsasabi, oy, kailangan na namin yung data nyo kasi nahihirapan kami mag-coordinate system ng mga hindi maging interoperable yung mga LGU system dahil kulang yung data. Sino ba dapat talaga in charge?
Well, pagdating sa health data, it's DOH, no? Ang repository talaga ng lahat ng yan. When it comes to contact tracing, it's DILG together with DOH. So dapat may integration ng data ng DOH at DILG. But for this particular program, yung sa vaccination, it's DICT kahapon asking for DILG to help push the LGUs some more.
Yeah, pasensya na po, balikan ko lang yung question because it really sounds very political. That's the sense of it. Especially when you say that you have a department level agency, DICT, already with that mandate, as government officials have said months ago. And then basically saying, DILG, resbakan nyo naman kami. Kasi, I mean, tell me if we're misreading this, but the impression is, DICT telling DILG, ayaw kami pakinggan. I mean, hindi nagko-cooperate sa amin. And the other irony here is that everybody keeps talking about we need the economy to keep going. Everybody, including the LGUs in the private sector, saying that vaccine cards are so important to this. That's why we don't understand where the bottleneck is, because LGUs have said, kailangan natin to. And yet, when we talk to national level officers, the impression we're getting is that it's the LGUs that are not cooperating.
Well, I think one of the challenges kasi ng DICT is wala silang regional presence, no? That's the reason why they need DILG.
But we're just
And
talking
also
about
because
NCR, sir. NCR, kahit NCR lang muna ipag-usapan natin.
Yeah, that's why yung pilot testing is with NCR. Actually, it's with San Juan. So the DICT in its presentation yesterday was already able to show proof of concept using San Juan as the example. So now what we really need to do is just push more and more LGs to do the uploading, to constantly and update yung pag-upload nila ng data. Kasi may mga certain problems like the usual, the spelling, the birth date, all of these technical problems when it comes to uploading the data and making sure na tama yung pag-upload ng data. Remember, not all LGUs, ang nangyayari no, in some LGUs is sinusulat kamay,
Yes.
and from sulat kamay, ine-encode, and then may problema sa encoding kasi mali ang spelling, mali ang... So these are technical issues. And then you multiply that by the number of LGUs that are doing the vaccination. So it's not as easy as it seems, although pwede naman mag-upload ng mga data na walang problema. So it's just really getting the LGUs to commit to the uploading of data, and that systematically just needs a point person per LGU na talagang siguro walang gagawing iba kundi to make sure na ina-upload yung data.
So realistically, sa tingin nyo, gaano katagal before we can have a uniform vaccination card? At least within Metro Manila. O ayan, dali-dali na yan, within Metro Manila.
Well, ang aming sinabi ang usapan namin with DICT is in the next 2 weeks, in 2 weeks time, we should be able to have something concrete that we can already showcase to the public.
Metro Manila yan.
Let's see kung what are the LGUs na updated. I think if we're able to show that it works in San Juan, then I think pressure will be on other NCR cities to follow suit, di ba? So perhaps in 2 weeks time, baka yung NCR nga will be able to have something more concrete that we can showcase and maybe showcase a working model for NCR.
Secretary, I hope you don't mind. One last question. I just want to tie up one loose end on Manila and Malacanang. As you said, no, I mean, gumana naman at nag-distribute naman ang Manila. But I just want to ask this question because it is, I mean, in all seriousness, the President framed it as an order. He said, I'm ordering the DILG, I'm ordering the MMDA, take over the distribution. So we just want to know, so officially, where does it stand? Given that Manila distributed on its own, given that, I mean, it seemed, of course, everybody would be happy to move on, mahalaga yung maipaabot yung ayuda, but just as a loose end, how is that being treated right now by DILG, by MMDA, and by the Cabinet?
Well, I can't speak on behalf of the ILG, because I think better if it's somebody from the ILG, perhaps even Secretary Anyo, who will directly answer the question. But speaking from what happened today on the ground, it looks like yung Manila was, although the setup in Manila was the same as the setup in other cities in the NCR, which is downloaded yung fund to the city. Distribution was done by the city with DSWD and DILG doing some sort of oversight or supervision or monitoring of the system with the help of the PNP for cash distribution if you need security forces on the ground to ensure the security of the distribution. So it followed the same setup basically of other cities. So mukhang that's what happened on the ground. So we can
parang na-overrule yung si President doon kasi parang ibang-iba yung naging action doon sa utos niya. So
well, again, I think better kung si Secretary Anyo yung magsasalita, but sa narinig ko kasi doon sa Talk to the People ni Pangulo, wala naman siyang binanggit talaga na syudad, diba? There was no specific mention of a mayor or a city. So that's that. There was no really specific mention of any city.
Pero may mga dagdag yung description niya, kaya isang tao lang nakakuli at nakikita ng mga tao.
Sir, wala namang kaduda-duda ako.
No other person na inisip ng mga tao ko sino.
Tanungin natin si Mayor Zamora mamaya. Baka si Mayor Zamora pala yung nag-showbiz.
Ewan ko kung ano mga pictures ni Mayor Zamora. Baka may mga pictures din si Mayor Zamora.
Andiyan pa si Mayor
maganda
Zamora, hindi
naman
pa naghahangat si
ginagawa
Mayor Zamora. Ha? Mayor,
Maganda naman
susunod kayo.
ginagawa ng San Juan eh.
Ang dating,
Ang ginagawa ng San
dating
Juan.
mayor ng San Juan, ang dating artista, hindi yung minakabit.
Showcase pa nga natin ng San Juan eh. So, baka hindi rin si Mayor. Baka hindi si Mayor Zamora.
Tatanungin natin. In the meantime, Cabinet Secretary Carlo Nograles, maraming salamat po.
Thank you din po.
Mag-ingat po kayo.
Ingat always. At magandang gabi. Stay safe. God bless everyone.
Okay, please stay with us. The Chiefs will be right back. Welcome back, the Chiefs here on One News. Now joining us, San Juan City Mayor Francis Zamora, mayor ng isang LGU sa NCR. Showbiz personality. Mayor, first question. Nung may pinapatama si Presidente, nangamba ka ba na ako yata tinutukoy nito ah?
Una sa lahat, wala po akong mga pictures na nailabas masyado. So, hindi po siguro ako yun.
Basketball shorts lang.
Maiksi ang mga shorts dati nung panahon ni Mayor eh. Nung nagba-basketball pa siya, mas maiksi pa ang mga shorts eh. Then, Mayor, in all seriousness, first of all, we were talking to Cabinet Secretary Carlo Nograles. Mukha namang smooth sailing yung ayuda today. Let's take it from the perspective of San Juan. First of all, kamusta po ang first day ng distribution?
Okay, una sa lahat, magandang gabi po sa inyo at maraming salamat sa pag-imbita. So far, so good po tayo sa ating unang araw ng pamamahagi ng ayuda. In fact, we finished 4 barangays today dito po sa District 2. I'll just read some of my data. Ito po, kakatapos lang ng summary ho namin. Ano? We disbursed a total of 13.2 million pesos today in 4 barangays. At 90% po yung disbursement rate. Ibig sabihin, may 10% na hindi ho nakapunta. So considering na unang araw, malaki na ho ang 90% sapagkat yung iba ho siguro, no, kadalasan posibleng naipit sa probinsya, na lockdown o dahil ECQ, hindi makabiyahe. So all sorts of reasons why they were not able to go. But 90% is relatively high compared to April and May nung siguro no, sa mga 70-75% lang ho kami noon. In fact, yung balanse o yung natitirang pondo, we had to generate 3 more lists until we eventually fully dispersed the amount. So mataas na po yung 90%. At wala ho kaming naranasang any problems. In fact, si Chief PNP General Elazar visited us at inikot ho namin sila sa aming mga disbursement areas, yung payout sites. At ito, medyo unique yung ginawa namin sapagkat sinabayan namin ang bakuna. So it's an ayuda plus bakuna program dahil lalabas na rin naman yung mga mamamayan to claim their ayuda. So nag-offer na rin po kami ng vaccination for A2 and A3. Sapagkat ayon po sa NVOC advisory, every time you set up a satellite vaccine station, kinakailangan para lamang sa senior citizens and persons with comorbidities. So we were able to vaccinate around 300 people today, dun lamang sa mga benepisyaryo. So malaking bagay na ho yun. At sabi nga namin, 2-in-1 na yan. No? May ayuda ka na, may bakuna ka pa. So dobling saya. At lalo na ngayong ECQ, talagang kailangan pareho yun. Yung pondo, no? yung panggastos, kailangan po, at ang bakuna, kailangan din po yan.
Naabot nyo na yung herd immunity nyo, di ba, Mayor? At nag-aalok kayo ngayon na yung mga hindi taga San Juan, pwede magpunta dyan. Nakausap nyo na ba kung sino-sinong mga LGU or mga mayor ang mga gustong magpadala sa inyo na nababakuna?
Just to put it in a better perspective, no, babasahin ko. So I'm always very numbers based to kasi, no. So we have vaccinated a total of 98,590 people with 2 doses. Ibig sabihin, fully vaccinated na po yan, and that is 111% of our target population, and that is 78% of our entire population. So ang inhabol kasi for herd immunity is 70% of your entire population. So we have gone beyond that. In fact, last week pa ho namin nalagpasan, except that kahapon lang ho formal na inanunsyo ni ni Presidential Spokesperson Harry Roque during the media briefing ng Malacanang. So nakamit na po ito ng San Juan. Ngunit nais kong ibahagi sa lahat na ang ginagawa ho natin kasi ngayon is we are targeting to vaccinate 100% of the qualified population. Ibig sabihin yung kabuuan ng San Juan na pasok po sa edad, which is right now 18 and above, and of course those who have been cleared by their doctors. But also we are vaccinating A4, meaning yung mga taga-ibang lungsod, ngunit dito sa San Juan nagtatrabaho, at napakarami rin po niya, no? Yung mga nagtatrabaho sa commercial centers, sa Green Hills, yung mga retail areas, restaurants, malls, call centers. So yun, actually the bulk of the vaccinees now are A4 non-San Juan residents sapagkat pag-uusapan ho natin yung talagang organic San Juan residents, halos talagang tapos na po yung within the qualified age range.
Hindi ba pwede buksan yun to Metro Manila residents in general?
Ba yung...
I'm sorry?
Wait, go
Wait,
ahead, Luchi.
I'll just
Sorry.
follow up. Nadaraman nyo ba ang epekto ng herd immunity dahil naka 78% na kayo, no? Do you feel it? I mean, how are your numbers there in San Juan?
Good question, which I'm very much excited to answer. No? I shared this earlier during the media briefing. Right now, San Juan has 311 active cases. But one thing we have to look at here is that 182 out of the 311 are unvaccinated. So makikita nyo talaga na karamihan sa mga nagkakaroon ng COVID, hindi talaga bakunado. Meron naman tayong 129 na vaccinated, pero ang breakdown nila, no, out of 129, 120, so I'm sorry, ulitin ko, pasensya na, napakaraming numero nito. Out of 311 active cases, 122 are asymptomatic, 175 are mild, 9 are moderate, and 5 are severe. So, in other words, 39.23% ay asymptomatic, 56.27% ay mild, 2.89% ang moderate, only 1.61% ang severe. Wala ho kaming moderate or severe case na hindi bakunado. Ibig sabihin, I'm sorry,
Nabakunado.
I'm sorry, dahil nalito na ako, nabakunado, yes. So in short, if you are vaccinated, you can either be asymptomatic or mild if you will get COVID. But if you are not vaccinated, you will definitely get infected. So ito yung gusto kong ibahagi, no? Ito yung sagot ko sa tanong ni Luchi na yes, nararamdaman namin yung epekto ng bakuna sapagkat kahit 311 cases po kami, ang aming San Juan Medical Center, 45% lamang ang utilization. Ibig sabihin, there is no need to hospitalize all the patients. In fact, most of them are in our quarantine facilities just finishing their 14-day quarantine. Unlike before, hindi ganito kataas ang mga kaso, ngunit puno na ang ospital. Sapagkat kahit konti ang kaso, karamihan po ay moderate and severe. That is why napuno agad ang mga ospital ng panahon na yan. Yung po ang kaibahan ngayon compared to the surge of March na hindi pa tayo nagbabakuna nung panahon na yun.
Mayor, apart from this achievement, gagawin daw pilot area ang San Juan for the vaccination card, yung maganda ng klase. Can you tell us more about it?
Naabutan ko nga yung latter portion ng interview ninyo kay Cabsec kanina. And yes, actually, madalas din po ako natatanong, kailan ba lalabas yung DICT vaccination cards? Right now, wala pa ho talaga. But we have uploaded all our data as mentioned by Secretary Nograles. And even in our Viber group with the other Metro Manila mayors, may paalala na nga ho ron for the other LGUs to upload their data. Because all the data must be uploaded para nga mag-sync lahat ng ito. The DICT has chosen San Juan as its pilot city for this, pati yung VIMS, yung Vaccine Information Management System, San Juan din po ang napili ho nila. At malaking
Kailan
tulong
yan,
po ito
Mayor?
sa amin.
Kailan
I'm
siya?
sorry?
Kailan namin makikita yan? Kailan yung launch?
I'm still waiting also, Ami, no? Wala pang abiso sa amin. Ngunit it's really the DICT's tasking sapagkat ito po ay naatasan sa kanila. So nag-aabang din po kami kung kailan po ito lalabas. Malaking bagay po ito na may labas na very soon.
Yeah, but Sec, can you give us some insight from your Viber group with the other LGUs? Ano ba yung problema? Of course, San Juan, it makes sense. Not only are you ahead of the game, you're also the smallest LGU in NCR, to be fair to everybody else. But what are the difficulties throughout Metro Manila?